Okay, so here's the test edit. I'm going to start by sorting these pictures. Get my filter bar up. This lens, if it doesn't tell you what lens it is, it's almost certainly the 8-16. So I'm going to run that on both of these, the 8-16 preset. Now I'm going to pick up the rest of the 8-16s. Check all. DT 18-55. Run that preset and check all. Everything's checked. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do my exteriors now. Go back to all three lenses. In develop mode. Go back to the beginning of my film strip. I'm going to add all the exteriors. You know, before I do that, I'm going to save the metadata to everything. You can never forget saving the metadata, or you have to run the whole batch again after you do your interiors. And before I save the metadata, I make sure I'm looking at all three lenses, or all however many lenses there are, and I make sure I'm in all photographs and not like on previous import or something. Don't trick yourself. Okay, so I've saved all the metadata. Now I'm going to grab all these exteriors and throw them into the quick collection. Looks like I already did those. All right, I'm going to go to my quick collection. And I'm going to run the AA exterior color upright preset. This resets the white balance. And when I sync this, I'm syncing the upright mode because we've already done lens corrections. Okay. So this recorrects the white balance to as shot, which is what we want. And I'm just going to go through these all fairly quickly. Actually going to darken these a little bit, just because we want some good contrast in these leaves. I'm going to throw this one out. Picking the best ones here. It's hard to know on this one. I'm going to throw this one out. And I might give this and the crop without that. I'm going to see if I can pull the blue out of that sky. It's not bad. That's enough blue for a backyard picture. For a front yard picture, I'm actually going to raise the luminance and desaturate it. Same thing here. Give myself a little color on this one. Contrast. A little more color. I go with the closer one. I have a sign here. You want to make sure you always get that out. And again, do we have enough blue? No, we don't. So I'm raising the luminance and desaturating it to get a clean white up here. I'm just going to brush this. Don't need to be as exact as we would if it were cleaner around the edges, but there's so many leaves and stuff. We're not going to notice any little brushing errors. That's pretty good. I might even brush this in here. Not bad. It's hard to tell on this. I might give them both. Probably don't need to. Probably just do this one and crop it. And I'm going to get rid of that blue so I can add my own. There's just not quite enough there. This one we definitely want the one that's further away. I'm actually going to tone down that grass a little bit. A little better. Okay, we might have enough blue here. Boy, it's really borderline. Darn it. I don't think so. This one would be harder to brush because of these clean edges. So I'm going to choose the one further away. So I'm going to knock this one out. And I'm going to get rid of the blue. And I'm going to cut it. So create virtual copy. Bump that up. Something about right there. Should I just go to shade here on the white balance. So here we're cutting and adding a sky. going to be hard to cut that right there. So I'm actually not going to cut it. I'll brush that apart. Let's start on this side. So here I'm cutting all the shaded area. I'm not going to go into the grass. I go up to this grass right here. Go around these bushes. Not being very neat here. Oh boy, what am I going to do with this tree? Okay, I'm going to cut it off right here. Just let those branches go. Boy, this is a mess. Oh boy, I've lost track of where I am now. I think it goes right around here. I'm going to feather that 3 pixels and layer via cut. Now I'm going to go grab this area over here that I missed. Darn it. Feather that and cut it. Now I'll drop the opacity of both these layers. It's looking good right about there. Now I look around, see if there's any obvious errors. This shaded area didn't cut. I actually don't even need to. It blends right in. Looks good. Let's flatten it. I'll go ahead and add a sky since I have it in here already. Looks like I'm going to have to cut again. So this is just filling, wiping the sky off that part. Oh, darn it, I missed. Just fill it with white. Okay, select, deselect. How are my branches up here? They're not bad, actually. I have some blue on this tree. Instead of brushing it, I'm just going to cut it. Pretty good. So we'll knock these two out. And I'm adding skies to all of these. So since this already has a sky, it's looking a little yellow. I tone it off and give it a little bit of punch. Pull that yellow out. That's good right there. I'm going to export that to my full collection. That's a full-size JPEG, and I'm going to knock it out of the quick collection. Okay, so this is going to be very difficult to add a sky to. Actually, not even going to try. Just brighten this up. And we'll knock that out. It's mostly brightening, but a little bit of warming too, because these shadows are cooler. Or bluer, rather. More blue. Check the straightening. About right there. That one's good. This one's good. Here I'm going to drop the blue to keep it. And I'm going to brush all this to get it brighter. I'm maximizing my dynamic range there, as well as brushing. And we're not straight, so a lot of times the auto straightening just doesn't work on these exteriors. It's good. Now occasionally you can cut some of these if the photographer clearly is overshooting. But generally speaking, that's not something you want to do, because you never know when the realtor asks for a specific image. Let's just raise the brightness overall. Right about to there. So all these are blue sky. In fact, it's going to be blue sky here on out. So since it is, I'm going to go ahead and replace all these skies. That way we can just deal with blue skies from here on out. Okay, this is not going to be an easy replacement. May have to lighten that blue up a little bit. So I'm going to mask it off the house and then off the sidewalk. I'm going to go to my defringe it off these leaves. Actually, it's not bad. It replaced pretty well. Just as is. I'm going to check my brightness here. I'm going to mask this saturation off the grass. And maybe mask the brightness off the grass. I think we're good right there. Always get rid of these signs first because you don't want to propagate them to multiple layers. That looks okay. And add the sky. So you know, wipe it off that roof. A lot of times it's hard to tell if it's on the roof. Better safe than sorry. Just wipe it off the whole bottom half of the picture because it's hard to tell where it is. Now you're going to defringe the leaves. And I'm going to wipe the saturation off the grass again. Oops. As well as the brightness. I'll leave it on the house though. Looks pretty good. Okay, so this one I could junk and just crop the other one. I think I'm going to do that. Good to go. I am going to save it just because, well, I sometimes in order to sometimes I'll repopulate my film strip in added order to put all the new photos to go out to the realtor. And I would miss this if I didn't make it a new file. So I'm making it a new file, if that made any sense. And fringe the leaves. And that baby is done. Might add a little contrast, a little drop that brightness and pump that contrast. There we go. Again, I'm dropping the brightness and pumping the contrast, and now my grass is too crazy. Try to avoid neon grass. So here we have some moisture on the side of the house, which I might try to take care of. I'm cutting the saturation, dropping the brightness, adding contrast. Now I'm going to stamp that whole picture and see what I can do here. very careful you don't introduce any problems. See right there, starting to look fake already. Could use the healing brush as well, or the content aware fill. It's a lot better though right there. Okay, this whole picture went neon, so I'm just going to turn off that saturation and brightness. I'll leave the brightness on. I'll turn off the yellow. Defringe my leaves. They're not quite defringed here. So I'm going to go all the way to the blue blocker and take that off. There, that's a bit stronger. Boy, I'm actually going to go to the blue here. That's what we want. Brightness. That's what we want. Can't quite defringe them entirely. So I'm going to the blue blocker. That's pretty good. Again, I'm a little too yellow, so I'm going to tick it to blue, tick it a bit brighter. It's pretty good. Last one. So we're too bright. Take that brightness off. Well, I don't know. It's close. Go away from yellow and into blue. Still have to defringe those leaves. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Close it out. Now, since I only had about 11 of those, I'm going to knock all the ones with no sky out. These both get knocked out. And this one I'm going to no, I was going to make a no, I'm going to leave that. Going to leave that. One of these I was going to make a virtual copy of. This one. Let's give them one option closer. Just the house, no basketball goal. Okay, so all I have left are ones with sky. It's going to be a lot of brightening brush. So this is a backyard, so we have a hint of blue back here. It's enough. Actually a very difficult sky replacement because of these yellow leaves. A little straightening. Crank up the overall brightness. Really shady back here. Crank my highlights down, try to keep them from blowing out. These are just beautiful. Could use a little bit of straightening. Lift up those shadows. And brighten this shady area. And nix that image. Gonna nix this image. Nice little lake out here. Just want to straighten that horizon. Okay, so this is going to be a cut and mask. Let's pick the best ones. So we have the photographer in the window here. That'll have to be photoshopped out. Take a look at these last three. Looks like he reshot. Oh, wait, no, this is different. Oh no, it's the same. They took the cover off. Okay, 3 shots left here. Go to shade, bump up the exposure. Let's get this looking good too. Let's go into Photoshop. Polygonal lasso. I'll start down here. What to do with that tree. So I'm just going to cut right through that tree, because we can take a brush and even it out later. Likewise for this tree. You might have a pen tablet, in which case you could do this in Lightroom. Let's see, I'm going to cut right over that tree. And cut through there. Likewise for the grass. I'm going to feather this 4 pixels instead of 3 because I think I'll need it. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I got to fix my trees. See that right there? So I'm going to take a brush at about half the opacity and mask it. Oops. That'll let it blend. Very good. Same for this one. Very good. Check all my other edges. I think we're pretty good here. Knock those out. Same drill. Cut that tree in half. Ooh, that's a crazy one. All these peaks. Feather that 3 pixels. So I barely missed this. I feathered it too much. Let me go back. And feather it 2 pixels. Oops. Darn it. Boy, I just barely missed it. I missed it over here too. It's looking pretty good except for those 2. I'm just going to recut those and send them back. Just cranking the opacity back up on those. Now I've done it. I overshot twice. Split the difference, 50 opacity. Okay, that's pretty good. One more. Oh, what to do with that tree? I'm not going to include it. I'm going to have to brush it out. If you're in doubt, don't cut it, because it's easier to brush it. Mask it, rather. Oh, I just overshot. Oh boy. Feather this guy. Let's try 3 pixels this time. So it's amazing how forgiving these branches are. I still see some dark spots in there. I'm going to mask. I'm at 50% opacity. That air up there is not that bad. Thankfully we have wispy clouds. Pretty good. I'm going to stamp the whole thing. Control Shift Alt E on a PC at least. And I'm going to clone this out. Did I mess up the blinds? Yeah, I did. I don't think anyone can tell. Looks good. I'm good to go. Little pump of contrast. I'll touch up this a little bit right in here. And export. So once you export all these, you want to remove them from the quick collection. And go back to all photographs. Now we have already saved our metadata, so we don't need to do that again. If you're not sure, just do it again to be safe. I'm going to close out Lightroom and go to Bridge. I'm going to navigate to today's folder. I'm going to stack them. This usually takes a while, depending on how many pictures there are. I'm going to pause it here. Okay, that didn't take long, just a few seconds really. I'm going to check my stacks just to make sure everything is stacked that should be. There's no loose ends. Looks good. I'm going to go clear my final folder. And I'm going to run half. and be back after the batch is done.